Learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
Nah, you don't need to register nothing. We can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
They believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploiting the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
WESN.
Hello there and welcome to AM Primo WESN Contents Capital. I'm Keaton Shaw. A very good day to you indeed, and thank you very much for joining us. Now, ladies and gentlemen, over the last week or so, we've had a lot of positive discussions. We've had a lot of guests on the program who are focusing on avenues to try and see a positive impact within society. By extension, help build the future of Trinidad and Tobago. Thing is that we'll continue on AM Prime. That does not end. But later on, we will be having some discussions about some negatives taking place. Unfortunately, it is a part of society now, and it's something that we cannot run away from. So hopefully we will get into those discussions later on as we speak about extortion. It is being deemed as a new business enterprise, new criminal business enterprise. Unfortunately, it's nothing new at all. But the TTPS has urged business owners to come forward and make reports of such acts of crime, and they will deal with it. Business owners, on the other hand, according to some reports, are too fearful to even drive to the police station. So that is something that we will get into later on. And then the Gambling Control Commission. Well, the gambling bill was partially proclaimed in 2021, 2022, I believe. Well, it's partially proclaimed, but being fully proclaimed will allow the government to collect approximately $2 billion in revenue. That's according to Minister Alison West when that bill was passed a couple of years ago. To get you the exact date, it would have been in June of 2021. The thing is, because it hasn't been fully proclaimed, there is still a huge leakage of revenue on the part of the government. In fact, it's approximately 500 million a year that the government collects in taxes. With fully proclaiming the Gambling Control Commission, they can collect up to $2 billion. That's a conversation that we will get into later on. But on that particular note as well, ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder that property tax payments are due very soon. And if you're wondering exactly what is taking place with your home, because you have not received a valuation, you actually need to go into Inland Revenue's office. Now, I believe that there is one in Barataria, there's one in Port of Spain, of course, but it's being advised that you go to the one in Barataria. And for all intents and purposes, copyright Sean Michael Small, I'm being told that being very, very helpful at Inland Revenue in respect to property tax valuations, because and again, this is just information that you receive through the grapevine. There's a deadline on the part of the Ministry of Finance, so it's a process that is being expedited. But there are still instances, this is a report that I am receiving, people have been contacting me and informing me that they have received a valuation. They thought the valuation was too high, so they queried it. And when they received a re-evaluation, it was lower. But they are now getting notifications from Inland Revenue, and those notifications have the original price of which these individuals thought were inflated. In the first place, they got it reassessed. So exactly what's going on there? Now, Sean Michael Small indicated previously that he got reports of when individuals went to Inland Revenue to actually, figure out what's going on. I've received 2 different valuations. I received a valuation of something I thought that was excessive, so I queried it and I received a lower valuation. What's going on there? Apparently, they were taking both forms, both documents, essentially just looking at it and then handing you back the form with a higher valuation saying that you have to pay it. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to be very, very careful. Seek advice if necessary, legal advice, because at the end of the day, as much as you have to pay your taxes, and yes, you have to, we all know why, whether or not we understand or agree with it, we know why we have to pay our taxes. If you feel as though it's something just sounds off, it's probably best to speak to someone who's best suited to advise you. I'm informing you of a situation of reports that I'm getting from individuals. So be very, very careful when dealing with this. Now, that being said, we know that the Ministry of Finance really does have a deadline. Budget is expected at the end of September, beginning of October, somewhere around there for the new financial year. And let's face it, our revenue streams are shocked. Yeah, our revenue streams are stopped. I think government needs as much money as they can, which is why you see instances of, for example, what's taking place with Movie Town right now happening. That is a different story. I can't comment too much on it because it is, it's gone through the courts and Movie Town had received an injunction. But interpret it as you will. Just saying that if it is that you have debts, you have contractual agreements in place, and you have bills to pay, you need to cover those bills. I'm just saying, if you have money outstanding and owing for a number of years, don't act surprised when the landlord comes to lock your gates. But again, that's a totally different story that I can't get into with too much details because it is before the courts. There is something that I do want to highlight one more time before we take a break. A video was circulating over the weekend of what seemed to be, it looked like a members club. You know, in Trinidad we don't have casinos. We can't use the term casinos because technically speaking, casinos are illegal. That's why you don't see the term casinos. You see the term members club being used. Casinos are technically legal. That's why they're referred to as members clubs. But you saw something like that taking place at the National Cycling Velodrome. It seemed to be an all-force competition. There were a couple of machines that looked like those roulette machines that you see in bars across the country. Well, that was the National Cycling Velodrome over the weekend. We were all in absolute shock because we keep speaking about the state of our sporting facilities to begin with. That's one. But you know, stemming recently from the Olympics, when the biggest talking points from the Olympics was the uniform, you know, that these athletes were given to wear during the opening ceremony. We didn't speak about the athletes. We didn't speak about the efforts of the athletes. We didn't speak much about athletes making it to the finals. I think Jereen Richards was the biggest talking point because he really gave his heart out. But think about it. No medals, nothing much to speak about, and not many people really even paid attention to the Olympics. And then upon their return from Paris, we're hearing from the Minister of Sport that something different has to happen. Whether it be policy, whatever it is, we need to work on something different for the Olympics in LA in the next 4 years. But this is the thing. Sport in Trinidad and Tobago on a whole has declined over the years. Sport has not been taken seriously. You have a multi-purpose, multi-million-dollar facility in the National Cycling Velodrome, and it's being used for all-force competition. But what was even more interesting is the response on the part of the sports company of Trinidad and Tobago, Sport TT. It said that the event was held by the Trinidad and Tobago All-Force Federation, the TTAFF tournament, and the TTAFF is actually a national governing body for sport. So it is actually recognized on the part of the Ministry of Sport and Community Development and is entitled to book the National Cycling Velodrome in accordance with the venue's use policy. It said the booking was approved on July 15th and all stakeholders were actually notified. It indicated that whilst they have responsibility for informing the athletes, because it is a multi-purpose facility, the policy allows for the booking of the event. And while cycling is the primary sport hosted at the National Cycling Velodrome, because it is a multi-sport facility, the center court floor is used for hosting various events such as gymnastics, netball, and basketball. However, Sport TT claims that gambling was not a part of the tournament, and the machinery that we saw in that video, I don't have the video. I really wanted to show you the video this morning, but unfortunately I did not get it in time for the show. The machinery depicted on the premises was placed there during the offloading of tables and chairs from a delivery vehicle and was not a part of the setup. I'm supposed to believe that? Do I look like a donkey? I'm supposed to believe this nonsense? Oh yeah, we're just resting it on the center court. We were loading tables and chairs. We just resting it there for now. I have nothing to do with the event. Really? Oh boy, that's so smart. That's really brilliant. Yeah, we're not making it a part of the event. It's just there for style or for decoration. Or we forgot to put it back on the truck when we finished offloading the tables and chairs. Yeah, boy, I really look like a donkey. I'm supposed to believe that. Food and drink of the competition is prohibited in most facilities, most national facilities. So it's reiterated, the sports company has reiterated its commitment to sport development and supporting national athletes. I suppose that we can say all-force is a sport. All-force is very much a part of our culture, and in all-force you really have to use your brain quite a bit when it comes to strategy, right? I think that's a positive. People have to use their brain. It seems as though Sport TT of Trinidad and Tobago think that most people don't have a brain. If you're going to come and say these machines were just placed there during the delivery of tables and chairs, let's get real. We really don't take anything seriously in Trinidad. We always have some silly, stupid excuses. And I'm so sorry. Even though this is an official statement on behalf of Sport TT, there is no way that I can believe it. There is no way that I can say that this is genuine. But it's another day in TNT. We're just going to brush it over and everything is going to be good. But the next time we speak about sport being taken seriously, and the next time we think about sports and policies that are necessary to raise athletes once born TNT, to raise the level of our commitment towards sports and sporting development, let's look back and think that, oh yeah, in all fours, everything else gets trumped. We take a break here on AM Prime, ladies and gentlemen. We will return shortly.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus. Quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg,
control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of this game.
no.
Let's go to the last part.
Knowing how to tell authentic is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Find it, match it, search it. Step 1. Find the style number on the tag. Step 2. Match the style number inside the jersey with the number on the tag. Step 3. Search it. A quick Google search of the style number will verify the jersey is authentic when the search results match the jersey being searched. Don't be fooled by counterfeit jerseys. Before you buy, remember to find it, match it, search it.
Fanzone, 2 locations nationwide. Center City Mall, Chaguanas and Movietown, Port of Spain. Nationwide delivery available.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug. You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God, so we cannot have a stalemate.
We'll focus on the woman who's being the victim, or the man who's being the victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain? How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI, worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing. We are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
It is now you don't need to register nothing. You don't need. We can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
We believe we defend criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
This is 10 Questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for. It's called loss and damage, and we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region. Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
Welcome back to AM Prime, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being with us this morning as we continue the conversation. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, we're speaking about extortion. It's being deemed as a new criminal business enterprise. It's nothing new, but you would have you're hearing this more and more often because of reporting on it more and more often from the media. Business owners, however, may not feel comfortable actually going to the police to report it for various reasons. But let's get into that conversation with my guest this morning. I'm joined by the chairman of the Confederation of Regional Business Chambers. I hope I got that correct. Mr. Vivek Charan joins us. Good morning, sir. Welcome back to the program.
Good morning, and yes, you got it correct, so that's fine.
Sometimes it's a bit of a tongue twister when you think about it, but thank you very much for joining me on the program once more, Mr. Charan. Extortion it's continuing across TNT. It seems to be, from reporting from business owners who have faced extortion from criminal enterprises, the figures that they're reporting that they have to pay is exorbitant. It's amazing. But the TTPS is now stating that they have a problem because business owners are not necessarily coming forward to report the instances of these crimes, so they can't deal with it. Has that been true to some extent, where business owners just don't even feel safe going to the police?
Unfortunately, yes, I have to agree with that. And this is something that really, it is critical to go to the police when you're faced with extortion. And the issue with extortion is that it's reared its head because it's become a very lucrative, way of earning money for the criminal. And basically, extortion really targets vulnerable businesses and businesses on, let's say, the relatively lower income spectrum, lower middle income spectrum, where those people are vulnerable because, of the type of business that they do. So we're looking at market vendors, we're looking at, people who, food vendors, let's say, right? Food vendors, and then it can actually go up to things like people with small restaurants, and people with transport companies, things like that. Basically, if they look at you and they feel that you're vulnerable enough that they can call and target and threaten you, then that is what is happening. Now, I myself have spoken to some people that I've heard that have been experiencing the extortion. Family of these people have called, contacted me to say, these things were happening, and my advice has always been, go to the police. At first instance, go to the police quickly. But when you speak to the victims, as I would say, of extortion, one of the main things is the sense of fear that they're feeling, and the sense of fear because all of a sudden these people have been calling on the phone and they've been threatened and that sort of thing, and the language and the way that they're being approached, even though it's on the phone, it's very intimidating, and it's very threatening as well too. So what happens is, I feel people are afraid to go to the police because there's the sense that the police cannot protect them. There's the sense that if I go to the police, and this is often said in the conversations that are had between the people who are extorting and the victims. Right? It's often said, well, we're watching you, and if you go to the police, we'll kill you, or we'll come for you, and that sort of thing, right? And so that sense of fear is what prevents people from going to the police. Now, the reality of the situation is, you are correct in saying that the numbers are ridiculous. And the numbers, meaning that when the extortionist calls, they say something like, well, give me $75,000, give me $100,000. They know that they're not going to get that money from you. What they're looking for is an income stream. What they're looking for is an easy way to say, I'm asking for $75,000, but if I get $2,000 this week, or if I get $5,000, in 2 weeks' time or something, so that's good for me, because this income stream is what they're looking for. And really, it's never going to be a one-off payment. Once you engage with an extortionist, once you engage in that conversation, in the sense that, I don't have that money, and what can I do? Or if I have that money, will you leave me alone? You're never going to be left alone. It's going to keep continuing. And that is why the only option that you have, if you're facing this, is to actually go to the police. And what we're seeing is that when you read reports of what is happening out there, the people who have actually been affected in a real way by violence due to extortion, you realize when, when you look into it, that this is because the relationship between the victim and the people doing the extortion has gone on past a certain point. And what I mean by that is, by continuing to answer the phone, by continuing to have conversations with the people who are trying to extort you, by continuing to negotiate with the people who are trying to extort you. It is only going to get worse, which is why at first instance, when you receive a call and that somebody on the other end of the call says something like, you know, starts to threaten you, or you need to give me this money or whatever, you need to call the police immediately. You also need to take note of the number on your phone. And then the best thing to do is don't answer the phone again if that person calls. And leave the rest up to the police.
But in, you know, Mr. Sharon, people are fearful of going to the police because of what you just mentioned in respect to criminals saying, I'm watching you. If you go to the police station, you will be killed. There have been stories of that. But what about the police's response? I'm seeing that the police are urging business owners to come forward. But speaking from past instances or experience, are business owners in any way satisfied with the response of the police? Do they feel a sense of confidence in actually reporting this crime or dealing with the police to try and prevent anything further from happening?
Well, initially extortion wasn't taken seriously. Initially, the response often was if you went and you said, I'm being extorted by people. Initially, the response would have been, oh, really? Somebody just called you up on the phone and asked you for $50,000 and you're just going to give it to them? You know, and the reason for that was that at that point in time, it was really just people calling on the phone and threatening. There wasn't really a direct retaliatory effect, if I should say that, right? Or there wasn't really the threat of violence actually becoming real. Now, however, it's a different thing. Now the threat of violence is very real. Now some people have actually been attacked. Some people have been shot at. Some people are actively being terrorized. Some people have been kidnapped. So now the threat of extortion is quite real, and I think that is why people are very afraid. And that is also why people are very afraid to go to the police, but that is the only option. You have no other option but to go to the police. And I keep saying this, the most important thing is to go to the police at first instance. As soon as it happens, go to the police. And then we also need to exercise some self-defense in that sense, right? And when I say self-defense, I mean you also need to be proactive enough to say, if somebody calls from a block number or from a number that I don't know and I get threatened, and this is something that can happen to me, and it's happening in our society to business people right now, then if you have your wife, your partner, you have your friend nearby, whoever it is, then you need to tape those conversations. Put it on speakerphone, tape those conversations, and you need to amass a certain amount of evidence from first instance as well too, and all of that is going to help people. I do believe that with regard to, the fact that people are calling from phones and numbers and so on, some of these things could possibly be traced. But for the extortionists, right, the issue is one of how easy it is to get the money. And if at the beginning they realize that this is difficult to get the money from, then they will simply move on to another target. But the reality is, by engaging with them, right, in whatever way you're engaging with them, simply by saying, listen, I don't have the money and I don't have this and I don't have that, by engaging with them, you only, create a very dangerous relationship between you and them. And so sometimes the best thing to do is, as soon as somebody calls on the phone and starts to threaten you that you don't know, and starts to talk about money, then just hang up. And then if you hang up and then you don't answer the phone again from any block number or that call, then that would end the conversation. The conversation can't go on to more than that, right? It can't go on to somebody having said, well, I asked you for this money already and this kind of thing. It can't. And so we have to be mindful and very present in a situation like that to protect ourselves and our families from what is happening. And, there are people who would say, well, Mr. Chan, how can you say that? That should, well, that really won't help. But it can help. It can't help simply because you are not engaging, right? There's the main element of extortion, right, is the threatening phone calls and the conversations between the people who are extorting you and yourself, right, or the victim, business people. And the longer that happens, or the time in which there's a connection made, right, between the extortionist and you on the phone, it is only going to get worse. So sometimes the best thing to do is to be brave enough to just hang up. And
I'm curious to know, I mean, I know that crime is impacting the economy on a whole. Right? There's no doubt about that. We've had conversations about that previously. But if we would speak about extortion specifically and its impact on economic investment, opportunity, and productivity, I mean, in your experience and as a business chamber, what has that been like, its impact on investment and productivity?
Well, I've heard that there are no doubles vendors. For a while there was no doubles vendors in the Tunapuna area. Many of the doubles vendors sort of moved out to it. That shows that on a certain level, what extortion can do. People feel vulnerable because they're exposed. There are some types of businesses where the business owner will never face the customer. There are types of businesses where you can drive to your office is on the 5th floor, the 12th floor, and you never have to deal with anything. There are types of businesses, however, where customers walk in through your door every day, including, and you won't be able to tell whether they're good people or bad people. There are types of businesses where you set up at the side of the road for the entire day, trying to earn an honest living. And it is businesses like that that have a certain access to the public that are often the victims of extortion. And so, what this does is, I think people are scared enough, and when bad things start to happen, that they actually want to close their business. How do you feel about coming to work every day when you know you don't have the money to pay these people, or the demands to pay these people, and yet you are in fear of your life, and then you're a family person, you're not a single person. You have children, you have a wife, or maybe it's just you and your wife, but then nobody wants to die, right? And what are the other people on the end of that line telling you? They're telling you, hey, I'm coming to kill you. I'm coming to kill you, or I'm coming to harm you, or I'm coming to do all these things. And so therefore, it does have, I would think, quite a large effect on how business is done in Trinidad and Tobago. I think it has a large effect on a certain sector of business in terms of people wanting to come out into that sector and earn a living. I think it has a certain regional effect because people speak to each other. And like I said, that Tunapuna Paje area was bad for extortion. I heard about that. I heard the Caroni Savannah was pretty bad when it came to extortion. And what we're seeing is that what I'm hearing is that certain areas are quite ripe for extortion, and then what you're going to find is these types of business are going to move from those areas to look for other areas. But really, with extortion, look at all the other issues with crime that we're constantly dealing with. And what it's showing is that if we look at the spectrum, and the spectrum between people who earn, let's say, small business, very small business, micro businesses, small business, medium business, all the way up to large businesses, we're seeing that everybody is targeted in some form or fashion, whether it is extortion on one end, all the way up to home invasions on the next end, or armed robberies on the next end when people are running into a supermarket or a jewelry store or a bar or a restaurant with guns. Then in the middle there we have issues of kidnapping, and then we also have people being executed on the road, which we're seeing on social media all the time. So when we look at the entire spectrum, the entire spectrum is populated with different types of crime. And other than the gang-related killings, or the tit-for-tat killings as they're termed, the reality is everything else is about earning income. The large robberies or the large-scale robberies, earning income. The home invasions, earning income. The extortions, earning income, right? Small robberies, robbing taxi drivers and so on, earning income. So what we're seeing is that this entire crime situation is driven by the criminal element finding their own way now to go out there and aggressively earn money. And they aggressively earn money by hurting people, by harming people, by killing people. And I have to say that, you know, you ever notice like if you have like these long balloons and you fill it up with air, and then you grab one and you grab somewhere in the middle of the balloon, you squeeze it, you put pressure on it, and then it pops up, the air pops up on one side or the other. And that's sort of what's happening. The police might be targeting one particular type of crime, and all of a sudden we see a slowdown in that. But then the other types of criminal activity, which the criminals are engaging in to earn income, those suddenly flare up or those suddenly blossom, and that's what's happened with extortion. But the key thing to remember.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm just curious to know, because we are running out of time. I'm curious to know whether or not the business chamber has had the opportunity as yet to meet with the Minister in the Ministry of National Security with particular focus on police. That's Keith Scotland. Has the business chamber had the opportunity to sit with him and discuss these issues that you presented?
No, we have not met with Keith Scotland. We have, you see, no, but on the other end, I have to be honest, and it's not political to say this, right? The reality is that people are fed up of the crime scene. People are losing faith in the powers that be and in the authorities that they can handle the crime scene. It is also compounded by the fact that people cannot defend themselves, that the whole issue with FULs or getting guns and so on, and the police perspective, or I should say even above the police perspective, maybe the government perspective, is that, you know, if we introduce legal firearms into this current situation, things are going to get bad. And what I have to say is that how worse can things get? Things are pretty bad already. Do you understand? And at the end of the day, I do believe that there's a direct relationship between the fact that the criminals feel that they can target anybody. The criminals feel that they can participate in these activities because on the basis of probability or statistics, I'm not saying that they're actually working it out like that, but they have realized by now that actually getting caught in the act is not going to happen. So now we have young gangs of young boys, 15 to 17-year-olds, jumping over people's walls and doing home invasions. That's something that's really happened about 2 weeks ago. So how worse is it going to get? So there's a sense that, despite the fact that we're seeing the police out there, that there's this undercurrent of chaos. There's this undercurrent of mass disorder and criminality that's happening, that's just seething underneath the seams. And it's only a matter of time before somebody or somebody in the area that you're living is targeted with crime or one of these types of criminal activity. And it's certainly something that we're not comfortable with.
Which is why it's also led to a lot of people leaving Trinidad and Tobago. There have been reports of business people packing up and leaving, not out of the area of which the business was, but out of Trinidad and Tobago as a whole. So there is a possibility that we are losing local investment as well. We caught up with foreign direct investment. We are losing local investments as well.
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, we often look at it in terms of only from the sense that, what is it like to actually go and start a business now or to expand your business given the current crime situation? Because doing better now, right? Doing financially better now, or growing, let's say growing, Let's say you are a small business and you're growing. Let's say even if you're a food vendor and you're growing and then you decide you're having all these food trucks. Let's say if you had a Chinese restaurant or a small restaurant and you want to grow and you're saying, well, I want 2, 3, 4 more restaurants because my restaurant is doing so well in different parts. And that's good, you know. It's good to expand. It's good to create more commercial activity, more employment and stuff like that. That's good. But the reality is that the more attention you draw to yourself now is the more potential it is for you to become a target. And I think a lot of people feel that. You know, they feel that me doing better, that me expanding, that me, or we, I should say, if it's a family, you know, really trying to succeed in life in a way that, or succeed in my business will only draw more attention to myself and the wrong type of attention from these criminals. And that's a terrible thing for us to be, you know, that's a terrible place for us to be in society where, you know, we have to suppress our own ambitions for fear that the criminals are going to take advantage of us. That's terrible.
Well, Mr. Jaron, we are out of time, but I want to thank you for joining me on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And as always, I always say this, let's hope for good news to come very soon.
I agree. Let's hope.
All the best, sir. Take care.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in a situation where we are losing the best of the best. We are losing a lot of good. People are leaving Trinidad and Tobago purely out of frustration and out of fear, out of opportunity. That's the reality. I don't know why it is we would want to deny it. Yes, Trinidad and Tobago has many sweet elements, but let's be honest. Those sweet elements, TNT is not the same as TNT was 20, 30 years ago. No country is. And whilst you may be arguing the point this morning that other countries, it's not easy out there. Everywhere you go now, you're going to face difficulty, you're going to face crime, you're going to face, you know, the whole world is facing this. Trinidad and Tobago is such a small place, and for us to be going through this at this exponential rate, I'm not saying that authorities don't care. I'm just saying that they lack ideas, creativity, and sometimes you wonder a sense of will. Like they too are so frustrated that they have given up. It's gotten to that point. Even in respect to what Mr. Chow was saying, you know, 7 young men, you know, jumping people's walls and holding up a household and robbing them. That happened yesterday. Reports of that happening yesterday. 7 teenage boys. They're being described as being between the ages of 15 and 17. 7 teenage boys broke into someone's home, you know, beat the son, you know, put the family in a room, and approximately 1 hour they spent in the house, and they took everything. Teenage boys between the ages of 15 and 17. This is what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago. You know, criminal enterprises are starting from young. It's no longer where you see young people having summer jobs. It's now young people having long-term jobs. Well, as long-term as it could be, in an industry that seems to be thriving more than the rest of TNT. Imagine that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a break here on the break.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this is screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
Here is your WESN News on the hour. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Police kill wanted man in Point Fortin shootout. Derby woman found dead. Husband injured in Barrackpore attack. West Indies clinch T20 series with thrilling victory over South Africa. And regionally, chaos at Barbados opposition's 69th annual General Conference. Now for the details. A man wanted in connection with outstanding homicide inquiries was killed in an early morning shootout with Southwestern Division Police in Point Fortin on August 26th. Reports said 5 officers were on patrol and making inquiries in Point Fortin when around 1:20 a.m. they spotted Keelan Branca, 24, of Vance River, Guapo, near a bar. They said Branca realized they had seen him and he immediately ran away. They chased him, but on reaching a bushy area, heard several shots. The police, who were armed with submachine guns and pistols, returned fire. After the melee subsided, they found Branca lying motionless with a Beretta pistol near him. District Medical Officer Dr. Maharaj visited and pronounced Branca dead. His body was removed pending an autopsy at the Forensic Science Center, St. James. Police are continuing investigations. A Derby woman was killed and her husband injured in a violent attack on Saturday night in Barrackpore. The body of 45-year-old Reshma Peters was discovered near a heritage production tank farm on Mohes Road Sunday morning with multiple injuries. Her husband, Ravi Samlal, 36, was treated at the hospital for a head injury after being struck by an unknown assailant. The couple was reportedly walking along Mohes Road when a man exited a vehicle and attacked Samlal, knocking him unconscious. When Samlal regained consciousness, Peters was missing. Her body was found the next day by relatives. Police are investigating the incident, having recovered several items, including a vehicle bumper and female slippers, from the scene. The West Indies secured a stunning 30-run victory against South Africa, winning the 3-match T20 series with 1 game to spare. After posting 179 for 6 in their 20 overs, the West Indies bowled out South Africa for 149 in a tense finish at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy on Sunday. Despite a strong start from South Africa led by Reza Hendricks with a quick-fire 44, the West Indies bowlers Romario Shepherd and Shamar Joseph sparked a dramatic collapse, taking 6 wickets between them. South Africa lost their last 7 wickets for just 20 runs, giving the home side an unsaleable 2-0 lead in the series. Shepherd was named man of the match for his 3-15, while Joseph took 3-31. In regional news, the Democratic Labour Party's 69th annual General Conference took a chaotic turn on its second day, leading to police intervention to restore order. The Errol Barrow Auditorium was filled with party members shortly after 10 a.m., but the gathering soon descended into confusion. According to Assistant Secretary of the Young Democrats, Stephen Newton, 3 motions were presented, including one to overturn the General Council's decision to expel Ronnie Yearwood and Steve Blackett from the party. Newton reported that the majority of members voted in favor of reinstating Yearwood and Blackett. Newton also revealed that Walter Maloney, the second vice president, was elected as chair of the annual conference, replacing Andre Worrell. However, these developments sparked heated debate among members, with some arguing that the meeting was never officially convened, rendering the motions invalid. Around 11:50 a.m., Steve Blackett arrived at George Street surrounded by supporters who warmly embraced him. Speaking to the media, Blackett expressed his joy, saying, "I am over the moon. I am elated. My faith in this party has been renewed." Despite these events, DLP General Secretary Pedro Shepherd dismissed the claim, stating, "As we attempted to commence the session, a group of individuals sought to disrupt our meeting, claiming to have raised some motion." Shepherd confirmed that Andre Worrell remains the acting president of the party and added, "Once we got clearance from the police that those persons are removed from the compound, we shall resume our conference today." Well, that's news to the hour on WESN. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for watching.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
Welcome back to the conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us once more this morning as we continue with the program. I'm now joined by the Deputy Political Leader of Hope. He has many titles that I'm not so sure which one is most appropriate for this morning, but Mr. Louis Leasing joins me on the program. Good morning, sir, and welcome back to AM Prime.
Good morning to you, Mr. Shah, and to your audience, wherever they may be, in any nook and cranny of this world.
Indeed. Well, Mr. Leasing, I started the conversation this morning by lamenting the footage that we had coming from the National Cycling Velodrome in respect to an all-force competition. What is being deemed as an all-force competition at the centre course. But there were images of gambling machines that were very much visible, and according to Sport TT, it wasn't a part of the tournament. It was barely rest on the centre course when they were loading tables and chairs for the event. How does this paint a picture of the current state of sporting affairs in TNT and even our sporting policy?
Well, Keaton, the reality is this, that there is not much seriousness going on in Trinidad and Tobago. Because the Prime Minister, they use Kamala's Harris's words, the Prime Minister of this country and his government are not serious people, and the fact that you have to forgive me. I'm doing one of these juvenile things in that I turned on the television to follow your program earlier and I forgot to take it off at the start. I do apologize to the viewers and listeners.
As you wish, go on.
And I was saying to you that because there isn't any seriousness going on, you could have a situation where the National Velodrome, which is something that cost us, the taxpayers, a lot of money to maintain, could be used as a center for all-force tournaments. But more importantly, mysteriously, gaming machines could be placed in strategic locations on that same velodrome. And it tells me that the cycling and the challenges of cyclists and developing international cyclists will continue, as with all other sports. You see, I saw Atto Boldon in an interesting interview in recent times with Andrew Batiste. It was on yesterday evening. And Atto Boldon was speaking to the issue of Trinidad's planning and approach to its preparation for selection and sending of teams to Olympics. And the fact that we returned not with a medal, not with one single medal. He was really concerned about that. And I almost thought I saw Atto Boldon crying. I could cry for Trinidad and Tobago too in that regard. But I won't cry because I think I have to reserve my tears to ensure that we bring stability to the Republic. Whatever I can do and say to get people to see the light, I would focus on that. And that is what I'm doing here with you this morning. Well, you can't have a situation where you take something so sacred as the cycling velodrome, which cost this country tens of millions, and have people running an all-fours tournament or offering gaming opportunities at the thing. Bear in mind, people constantly crossing that velodrome and to get to that center. And God knows what is going on with the velodrome as we speak. It's the same for the stadium. How many times we have heard of athletes being unable to train because they reserve the thing for some big fete or something like that. We've got to get serious about the things that matter most. And the things that matter most is the application of law and order in this country.
Well, law and order is one thing, but you have various bodies to actually deal with these instances. According to SportTT, it was hosted by the All Fours Federation of Trinidad and Tobago, which is a recognized national governing body of sport. But one would think that this belongs under another entity, which is the Gaming Control Commission, the Gambling Control Commission of Trinidad and Tobago. Though it has not been fully proclaimed, they still have been building themselves up from 2021. So in respect to that, let me shift the conversation a bit now to the Gambling Control Commission. This not being fully proclaimed, how much is that of a bigger issue for Trinidad and Tobago?
I want you to see two things in context. One, use of property, and two, the legality of each entity being responsible for its various disciplines. In terms of use of asset, which is to say the velodrome, for all-fours tournament, is absolutely wrong. So I want to deal with that, one. Two, the question is, outside of the all-fours, the placement of gaming machines, and when you looked at the pictures, they're serious gaming machines. All right? So that raises the question, who is doing the work to measure the gaming stock in this country, which is to say, supermarkets, shops, restaurants, laundries, bars, rum shops, greengrocer stores, you name it. All of these places currently house immeasurable gaming stock, which translates into revenue for the state not being collected. So if you want to speak to the Gaming Commission that was appointed near 2 years ago and has not yet been proclaimed, you've got to talk about the fact, the history. Let's visit the history about that. This has been on Imbert's desk, that is the Minister of Finance, since 2008. During the period 2008 to 2010, it was on his desk, he being a member of the F&GP committee of the cabinet. Why has it taken above 11 years to do good for the good citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? I want to say to you, so that you'll better understand that I'm speaking from a position of knowledge in this matter. I first became involved in the business of gaming, having been appointed chairman of the National Lotteries Control Board back in 2007 or thereabout. That's a long time ago. The issue which illustrated the need for a gaming commission surfaced in and around 2007 to 2008, when Prime Minister Patrick Manning was expressing very strong views that he would be pursuing legislation to close gaming in Trinidad and Tobago. In other words, ban gaming. At that time, private members clubs were becoming casinos and were mushrooming up everywhere. Wherever you found that kind of location to gaming, they surfaced and they were opening up by the dozens. Listening and reading the comments of the Prime Minister at the time, I, as chairman of the National Lotteries Control Board, recognized I had a responsibility to intervene, and I did. What did I do? I requested an audience with the Policy Formulation Committee of the Cabinet, as I wished to be heard on the issue of gaming. What happened there? We went to this meeting, a meeting with a lot of senior public servants. I think there were about 5 or 6 ministers, inclusive of the Prime Minister. I took the entire NLCB board and management to the meeting. At the meeting, the question was asked of the Prime Minister if he understood what would happen to the country if we closed off gaming in the country altogether. And his response was he didn't know. And so we explained to him that if we closed gaming and made it illegal, it would go underground. And those who ran it underground would get more guns, more drugs, more prostitutes, more soldiers, and that they could ultimately contest the state and take it away from the elected officials. We discussed at length the issue, and he asked what did we at the NLCB propose, and we preferred a proposal which in the main spoke to the issue of the establishment of a gaming commission for Trinidad and Tobago, which would regulate and collect all revenues due to the state from gaming. Eventually, at the end of the discussion, the NLCB was charged with the responsibility to deliver a proposed act for the development and introduction of a gaming commission. We did better than that. We developed and delivered a draft act based on research conducted in 7 jurisdictions, which may have had situations peculiar to ours. One was Bogota, and therefore an organization called ETESA in Bogota was able to assist us in understanding how they corrected their similar challenge. I want to say to you, further, we provided the appropriate policy to guide, and we also provided a cabinet note which facilitated the cabinet not having to do any work in this matter, save and except agree or disagree. It was before the cabinet weeks after. So we didn't take a lifetime, as this current gaming commission is taking a lifetime to come to life. We provided the information forthwith. And it remained in the FNGP committee, under which Mr. Imbert was a senior member of that Finance and General Purpose Committee. That's what FNGP means.
Let me interject you there. If these structures or the proposed structures have been in place since 2008, and it was partially proclaimed in 2021. So right now, it's the Ministry of Finance through taxation who collect the majority of the money or the revenues associated with the gambling or the entertainment industry, if you like to put it like that. Why do you think it hasn't been fully proclaimed up to this day, if it's going to plug a severe leakage of revenue in the industry?
I come to that, but I will say to you, so that you would understand there's a trend here. This Gaming Commission Act remained before the Kamala Prasad predecessor government for 5 years. This is now 7 years since it had been developed, and it remained before Minister Imbert, the current holder of the office of the Ministry of Finance, for 9 more years. The question is, why? My own position is that there are controlling forces on which we are not seeing, which have ensured that neither Seth, who was in charge of the first FNGP committee for 2 years, nor Dukaran, who I understand was involved nor Vasan Bharat, who I understand was involved on the Kamala Prasad predecessor, have had any power. The question is, why has Imbert failed we the people? Because it has been on his lap. The Gaming Commission was set up near 2 years ago, but has not been proclaimed. You have made that point, and I concur with that. Added to that, we must carefully review the members of the Gaming Commission to determine if Imbert truly wished the Gaming Commission to become active and effective in a short time. When you look at the men, and I'm not being critical of the men or of the committee that has been assembled, the Gaming Commission that has been assembled, because they didn't ask for the job, but they volunteered, and therefore, if you volunteer for that job, you must do it. Keaton Shah, you volunteered to be the best talk show host in the country, and I dare say, you're getting there. You're not the best because I'm still around, but you're getting there, and you're doing it, and that is admirable. But these fellas volunteered to be the Gaming Commission, and after 2 years, they're still groping in the dark. So we, the people now, have not collected $1 single in gaming taxes. We have not prosecuted one gaming violator, despite the fact that gaming violators engulf us. You understand? It's not only the people with the machines. In every single shop, that is where I started off so that you would understand what I'm saying. In every supermarket going up the east-west corridor, going down to deep south, in every laundry, in every shop, in every parlor, every bar, every rum shop, you see these one-arm bandits and the roulette tables and what have you, and people are paying to use that. What is being rendered to Caesar? Caesar being the taxpayer. What is being returned to us by way of taxes? Nothing is being returned to us. And so, in addition to that, you have hole in the walls. In many of those stores downtown, you see hole in the walls, 40 to 1, because they're upping the ante on the playway draw and denying we the people the only taxes we collect, the only revenue we collect from gaming is through the National Lotteries Control Board games. And these store owners and others deny the taxpayer, not the taxpayer, deny the tax collector all due revenue by not paying taxes on lottery. But they have the sign, 40 to 1. You see a hole in the wall, you ain't seeing nobody, but you know that if you go and play there, they give you a chit and you could come back and collect if you win. That is what is going on. So you look around and you see roulette tables, one-arm bandits, wherever you go. And so what we saw on the weekend at the Velodrome really must have been a big gaming thing going on there that night. They were running an all-fours and casino operation. And the police, if the police was serious about their work, they would pursue this and find out who placed those gaming machines there. If the Gaming Commission had any understanding of its responsibilities, it would have gone and tracked down those gaming machines and seized them.
Does the Gaming Commission have the power to do that? I mean, it's not fully proclaimed.
I'm saying to you, but Colin Imbert knows best why this thing has not been proclaimed by the president, because it's one government who has appointed a gaming commission that has been functioning for 18 months, nearly 2 years, right? He must be measuring the work because they must be funded. They have building and all kind of thing. So we are spending money on a gaming commission that isn't collecting any taxes for we the people. That's the point I'm making. Now, I make this point against the background that the government has spent a lot of money and has started to collect on the $600 million that the state can collect at a maximum on property taxes. The maximum sum, it is 500 and something, so I rounded off to $600 million. that when they collect all the property taxes against $600 million, they are shaking down, and I'm saying this for the umpteenth time, they are shaking down retirees of their hard-earned pensions and gratuities and what have you to collect property taxes, while $4 billion, which was the estimate we had back in 2010, when I left the lotteries board, it was estimated that the gaming budget in this country was $4 billion. So we are not collecting taxes on $4 billion while you're shaking down people, retirees, for property taxes.
Well, the last estimate, it's interesting how that declined, because to me, what we are hearing and what we are seeing based on reports is that there are more machines in Tobago now. But the government, through Minister Alison West in 2021, estimated that it's $2 billion and not $4 billion. So I'm curious to know what accounted for that decline.
Well, let me put it this way. Alison West, God rest her soul, she doesn't understand this business. She does not understand this business. But I must say, and one of the reasons why the Gaming Commission has been not limping along, but at a standstill, is because the commissioners do not understand the business. So if it is taking them all of 2 years to get going, you understand the challenges that confront them. This is difficult business, you know. This thing about gaming is not about nice people and honest people and decent people. It's about people who have set out to make a dollar at the expense of the players. Try and understand that.
Well, Mr. Leasing.
So, but let me finish this point for you to Keaton.
Go on.
Some have suggested that my figure, so you jump me on that, of $4 billion is a little high. But I want to say to you that this was the figure that we calculated, and I could have only calculated that figure based on the empirical evidence that was available to us. And unlike the present Gaming Commission, we never went to sleep on the job. So all I ask Colin Imbert, who is a man I campaigned for to first put in office, he may have forgotten that. He may have forgotten that when his entire committee resigned on him the Friday before the election, I was there to stand with him and pull things back together to put him into Parliament. Sometimes I wonder whether I made the most, there are two big mistakes I've made. He being the second, and the first is the influence that I used to ensure that we made a political leader of Dr. Rowley. Because they are failing us. They are failing us as a population. Collect the billions of taxes in gaming. If you all don't know how to do it, get people who know how to do it and get on with the assignment.
Those are some, just a bit off topic, those are some bold claims that you are responsible for Colin Imbert's campaign and even Keith Rowley's campaign to become Prime Minister.
Well, if you don't believe me, I could call to evidence my first cousin, Brian Quaitong, who was the chairman of the committee then. I could call to evidence Mr. Castani, who was one of the members of the committee back then. And the list goes on.
Well, Mr. Leasing, clearly you're saying that you sometimes wonder whether or not you made a mistake.
I'm not saying sometimes I wonder. I know I made mistakes in life.
Well, Mr. Leasing, whatever it is that is in the past, that's a different topic for a different day. But we are out of time, actually, for this conversation this morning, and I want to thank you very much for joining me on the program and for shedding some light on the history of the Gambling Control Commission. I myself, I don't know what's going on. It's been 2021. It was partially proclaimed. I never understand how we partially proclaim things, but the Minister of Finance has indicated that hopefully by December of this year, it'll be fully proclaimed. So
Well,
let's see. December's right around the corner.
Let us hope by December, when he proclaims it, that every gaming machine in every establishment in the country is online to a mainframe that can measure every dollar spent in the machine to determine what comes to Caesar and what remains with the operator. In other words, if these machines are online and a dollar drops, and it is agreed by the minister and the parliament that we will collect 40 cents on every dollar, let us hope that all of us could have a good Christmas. And by next year, this time, we can say, the IMBUD can boast with pride that we have collected, if not the 2 billion that the PERMSEC talked about, they collect 1 billion. And we would be way ahead, and then they can repeal the Property Act tax for retirees in this country.
Well, Mr. Leasing, thank you very much. And budget is right around the corner, and so is December. So we await to see what happens. Thank you, sir. All the very best.
Thank you very much, Ethan, for giving me the opportunity to explain to the uninitiated the issues associated with the Gaming Commission in Trinidad and Tobago.
Indeed. Thank you, sir. All the best. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Gaming Commission of Trinidad and Tobago, it exists on paper, and though it was partially proclaimed, according to the chairman of the organization, Mr. Stephen, I think it's Naitang, he has indicated that we've built up from finding us a home to finding us staffing. We have built up, so we are prepared when it is fully proclaimed. Just 2 weeks ago, the Minister of Finance indicated by December of this year he hopes for the Gambling Commission to be fully proclaimed by December, of course. So we await to see what happens there. Taxes were increased on various entertainment items, including roulette tables, baccarat tables, and all that about 2 years ago, but nothing further since. So there's still a major leakage in respect to revenue from this industry. But when all is said and done, it's our responsibility to shed light on these things. It's not our responsibility to act. I'm not in that position. I can only act by bringing you information. And you can act by making decisions and thinking critically for yourself about what's happening in TNT. Anyway, that's it for AM Prime. Thank you very much to all my guests for joining me this morning, and thank you, the viewer, for being with me. To my team and Josh, Alexander, and Milewood, thank them as always for ensuring that AM Prime goes live. I'm Keaton Shaw, remind you today is a good day to have a good day, and I'll see you again, hopefully, very soon. Bye-bye.
WESN.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better.